2026, all-new Suzuki C1500T, the cruiser that could shock the touring world. What if Suzuki suddenly brought back one of its most intimidating heavyweight cruisers for a new generation? That is exactly the question surrounding the 2026 Suzuki C1500T, a name that immediately grabs the attention of anyone who remembers the legendary Intruder and Boulevard cruiser family. Before we get carried away, there is an important detail. Suzuki's official current 2026 materials do not appear to confirm a newly launched C1500T, so this narration treats the 2026 model as a forward-looking concept/reimagining, not a confirmed production motorcycle. The original C1500T, however, was very real, and Suzuki's own digital archive lists the C90T/Intruder C1500T with a 1,462cc V-twin, 5-speed transmission, touring-oriented integrated side cases, and a substantial 363 kilograms wet weight. Now imagine that proven formula redesigned for 2026, with modern styling, improved touring comfort, updated electronics, and the same unmistakable heavyweight cruiser attitude. Suddenly, this isn't just another motorcycle story. This becomes a question of whether Suzuki could return to a category it once dominated, with a machine capable of making riders forget the usual cruiser suspects. The first thing that would make a 2026 C1500T impossible to ignore is the design. The original motorcycle already had the proportions of a serious touring cruiser: a long wheelbase, low seat, substantial bodywork, windshield, and integrated luggage. Suzuki's historical specifications list a 1,675mm wheelbase and a 720mm seat height, dimensions that helped give the machine its planted, relaxed character. Now picture those proportions translated into a modern 2026 design language. The front end could become sharper without losing the classic cruiser identity. The fuel tank could receive sculpted surfaces that emphasize the V-twin underneath. The side cases could be redesigned with cleaner lines and greater practicality, while LED lighting could give the motorcycle a more premium appearance. And the windshield? Expect a touring-focused design that makes long-distance riding part of the motorcycle's personality. This would not be a lightweight city cruiser trying to look big. It would be a genuine heavyweight machine designed to dominate the highway visually before the engine even starts. And then we reach the heart of the legend, the engine. The historical C1500T used a 1,462cc V-twin, with Suzuki's archive listing 78.9 PS at 4,800 revolutions per minute and 131 Nm of torque at 2,600 revolutions per minute for the liquid-cooled version. Those numbers tell you everything about the motorcycle's intended character. This wasn't about screaming toward the red line. It was about massive low RPM torque and effortless cruising. Imagine taking that philosophy and engineering it for 2026. The goal wouldn't necessarily be to create a motorcycle with outrageous peak horsepower. Instead, the focus could be instant throttle response, smoother power delivery, improved efficiency, reduced vibration, and effortless highway acceleration. Twist the throttle while cruising, and the motorcycle would simply surge forward. No frantic downshifting. No need to constantly chase the rev counter. Just that satisfying wave of torque that makes heavyweight cruisers so addictive. If Suzuki retained the soul of the original while modernizing the engine for today's emissions and efficiency requirements, the C1500T could have exactly the kind of personality that modern cruiser enthusiasts are looking for. But here's where the T in C1500T becomes critical. This motorcycle isn't supposed to be merely a boulevard machine. It's supposed to be a touring cruiser. The original model was equipped with integrated side cases specifically intended for long-distance travel, and Suzuki described the riding position as designed for comfortable cruising over extended distances. A 2026 interpretation could take that philosophy much further. Imagine larger, more aerodynamic luggage, improved passenger accommodations, a more supportive seat, adjustable wind protection, USB-C charging, smartphone connectivity, and a modern instrument display. Add cruise control, heated grips, and refined suspension, and suddenly the motorcycle becomes a serious cross-country machine. Picture yourself leaving the city at sunrise with the saddlebags packed, the engine producing that deep V-twin rhythm, and hundreds of kilometers of open road waiting ahead. That's the kind of scenario where the C1500T could become addictive. It wouldn't simply carry you to the destination, it would make the journey itself the main event. The riding position could be another major weapon. A low seat has always been one of the most appealing characteristics of this type of motorcycle, and the original C1500T 720mm seat height gave riders a reassuring connection to the ground. A modern version could preserve that confidence while improving the ergonomics around it. Imagine wide handlebars positioned naturally toward the rider, spacious floorboards, forward-mounted controls, and a seat shaped for hours rather than minutes. The entire motorcycle would encourage you to relax. And that matters because touring is fundamentally different from riding a lightweight sport motorcycle. You're not trying to attack every corner, you're trying to settle into a rhythm. The road becomes smoother, the scenery changes, and the motorcycle almost feels like it's designed to make you forget how far you've traveled. That could be the biggest appeal of a modern C1500T, not raw aggression, but effortless movement. Of course, a 2026 motorcycle couldn't simply rely on old-school cruiser hardware. Riders today expect modern safety and convenience, and this is where a hypothetical new C1500T could become dramatically more sophisticated than its predecessor. Imagine advanced ABS, traction management, ride modes, full LED lighting, a color TFT display, smartphone integration, and perhaps even cornering-sensitive electronic assistance. None of those features would need to destroy the classic character. In fact, the best modern cruiser would hide its technology rather than make it the entire story. You would still see the big V-twin. You would still see the long, low silhouette. You would still hear that unmistakable engine character. But underneath, the motorcycle could be working constantly to make the ride smoother and safer. That's the perfect combination. Classic emotion on the outside, modern engineering underneath. If Suzuki ever decides to revive the C1500T name officially, this balance could determine whether it becomes a nostalgic curiosity or a genuine competitor. Now let's talk about weight, because this is where the C1500T becomes a completely different kind of motorcycle. The historical model weighed 363 kilograms wet, according to Suzuki's archive. That's serious mass, and anyone who has ridden a heavyweight cruiser knows that the experience is completely different from riding a 200-kilogram machine. At low speed, you feel every kilogram. But once the motorcycle is moving, that mass can become part of the magic. The machine feels planted, stable, and substantial. A future 2026 model would ideally use modern chassis engineering and weight distribution to make that mass easier to manage. A revised frame, improved suspension, lighter components, and optimized braking could make a new version feel significantly more manageable without sacrificing the heavyweight identity. Because that's the secret. Nobody buys a C1500T because they want a featherweight motorcycle. They buy it because they want something that feels like a machine built to cross an entire continent. And imagine the sound. Even before you move, the motorcycle could create an atmosphere. You turn the ignition on, the electronics wake up, the display illuminates, and then the V-twin fires. That first pulse would immediately tell everyone around you that this isn't an ordinary commuter. As you roll away, the exhaust note settles into a steady rhythm. At highway speed, the engine doesn't need to scream. It simply works. That's the personality that made large displacement cruisers so appealing in the first place. The original C1500T combined its V-twin engine with a 5-speed transmission and shaft drive, a combination designed around relaxed cruising rather than frantic gear changes. A hypothetical 2026 version could preserve that effortless philosophy while adding modern refinement. And if Suzuki somehow managed to retain the mechanical character while making the motorcycle quieter, cleaner, smoother, and more efficient, enthusiasts could have a very difficult machine to resist. So who would actually buy this motorcycle? The answer is surprisingly broad. It could appeal to experienced cruiser riders who miss the old Suzuki heavyweight machines. It could attract touring enthusiasts who want something different from the usual American and European choices. It could even appeal to younger riders who discover that motorcycle touring isn't always about speed. There is something deeply satisfying about a machine that encourages you to explore, rather than hurry. The C1500T could become the motorcycle you choose when you wake up on Saturday morning and think, I wonder what's beyond that mountain. With luggage, a comfortable seat, serious torque, and long-distance protection, the machine could transform spontaneous ideas into real adventures. And because Suzuki already has a historical foundation for the C1500T, the concept doesn't feel completely imaginary. It feels like an unfinished chapter that could, at least in theory, be rewritten for a new generation. So here is the big question. Could a 2026 Suzuki C1500T become one of the most unexpected cruiser comebacks of the decade? The motorcycle is not currently confirmed by Suzuki as a new 2026 production model, and Suzuki's current Indonesian motorcycle pricing materials do not list it among the company's current lineup. But the original C1500T gives us a fascinating blueprint. A 1,462cc V-twin, huge torque, low seat, long wheelbase, integrated touring luggage, and serious road presence, created a motorcycle that was built for riders who wanted to go far without giving up cruiser attitude. Now imagine that philosophy combined with 2026 technology, modern suspension, advanced electronics, premium touring equipment, and an aggressive new design. That could be one seriously dangerous combination for the competition. The C1500T doesn't need to become the fastest cruiser in the world. It simply needs to become the motorcycle that makes you want to keep riding. And if Suzuki ever brings this legendary name back, you can bet cruiser fans everywhere will be watching. Would you ride a 2026 C1500T if Suzuki brought it back? Tell us in the comments, hit subscribe, and stay tuned for more legendary motorcycles making a comeback.